Is what we are teaching our kids the things they really need to know in this world we're entering into, this world of AI? I watched an interview recently that confirmed my thoughts on this, that what we are teaching our kids will be obsolete sooner than you think. A quote from this interview says, "We've currently got a school system that is literally destroying the necessary capacities in favour of the thing AI does much better." So I'm going to talk around the 3 points that came out of this interview and give you some ways in which we can focus our attention and be mindful of what we can teach our kids alongside AI coming up. And at the end, I'll talk a little bit about a story that I've got that relates to this in my life too. So stay tuned for that. So let's dive in. What I will say first of all is try not to worry so much about the AI thing, but we do need to be mindful of it. And as a mindfulness teacher, this is where I come into play, right? So mindfulness being paying attention to the present moment without judgment. So that's not living in the past or the future. So we can be aware of these things, but not to stay there. And that's the point. So this clip came from a guy called Johan Hari, and he was being interviewed on Mayim Balik's Breakdown channel on YouTube. And I'll link that in the description box for you to check the full interview out. But if you just want this bit, it was right at the very end, the last sort of 15 minutes. So I'm going to read the bit that stood out for me and really highlighted this issue about what we're teaching our kids, and is it really what is needed when we've got AI coming up. It's like this racehorse that's just coming up next to us, right? So Johan says this: "We need to completely redesign the school system from the ground up. What kind of kids do we want? If kids can mechanically memorise stuff, I've got news for you. We have AI that can do that 100 times better than your kids. What we need is the kids who can do the things that AI can't do. Creativity, empathy, listening, and paying attention to each other. We've currently got a school system that is literally destroying those capacities in favour of the thing AI does much better. As a mindfulness teacher, I know these skills well, and I know how we can bring our focus to them. And I'd like to do that today. So, yeah, creativity, empathy, and listening to each other. They're 3 things. There's many more, but I want to, hone down on that in this video. This is just 3 things that we can do alongside AI and where we can really put our focus to. So let's start with creativity. So creativity, I read a book recently called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. Now, if you haven't come across her, you've probably come across the film Eat, Pray, Love. She wrote that book that became that film. And she talked about how we're all wanting purpose in our lives, and purpose. This word's out there all the time. But what is purpose and where does it actually come from? And she actually said something that stuck in my mind, very relevant here: creativity. Creativity gives you your purpose. And nowadays, with kids and all the tech and everything, there's no time for creativity. And that is what we need to work on. So AI can do a lot of things. Like Johan said, it can do a lot of things that the kids are getting taught. The reading, the writing, the spelling. When was the last time you actually wrote in a Word document and changed the spelling yourself? Or did you right click and let it do it for you? This is the thing. Learning languages, it's all there. Do we need to have our focus there as much? I'm not saying at all, but do we need to have our focus there can we bring it somewhere else? And where is that somewhere else? Well, let's start with creativity. And to get creative, we need time. So I've written down here, give kids and us some breathing space to create. Let them be bored. What I do is my kids come to me and they'll say, I'm bored, I'm bored, I'm bored. And I just say to them, or I repeat myself as much as they say they're bored, I say, okay, be bored. I don't try and fix it. I don't see being bored as a problem, as a thing to fix. Let them be bored. We were bored as kids. What did we do? We used our imaginations. We got creative. We went outside. We played games. We made things with sticks and all sorts of things. And the way into that is to have some time and space to do it. You as well as the kids, but the focus here today is the kids. So let your kids be bored. Don't fill their days with all the extracurriculums. I'm not saying not to have them, but they're doing something every night and then they're too tired to have any creativity, even if there was time. You know, think of it that way. Think of allowing them to be creative. And some of you, I home educate. Some of you out there will also home educate. Some of you don't. Your kids will be in school. Either way, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying that probably the home education families will be doing this a lot more anyway because they have the time and space to do it. So they're working with their creativity. They're working with child-led activities. What brings them joy? So for those of the families where the kids are in school, I would just say allow some time, evenings or weekends, where you're letting them be creative. You're not just taking them out the house, sitting them in front of the telly. I know we need a break. I get that. Do that. That's fine. I'm not saying not to. But let's be mindful of bringing some time into our days, however you can, with whatever other commitments you've got, and allow for some time and space for the creativity and the juices to flow, okay? It might be your kid is better first thing in the morning. It might be your kid is better last thing at night. And you just give them a notepad, and a drawing pad, and they just draw. You might be that you give them a journal and just allow their thoughts to come out on paper if they do like writing. It could be you allow them to put some music on and just dance and be expressive with their body because they're kinesthetic learners, right? So you know your child and you know some ways to tap in, but they need space to allow for that creativity to come through. So number 2 is empathy. So Johan mentioned empathy there. So I want to say what empathy is specifically because there's a lot of words that mingle in together, compassion, empathy. So empathy, just a quick Google, was the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. While we're on defining empathy, what I will say is to check out an animation from Brené Brown. If you type in YouTube here, Brené Brown animation, it'll come up, and it's pulled from a TED Talk she did. So she's narrating from this TED Talk, but she's narrating with an animation going over the top of it, and it really hits. I'm a visual learner, so it really hit home for me. And I even showed hubby it too, to really focus in on what empathy really is. And these really big feelings that we need to sit with ourselves so we can learn those tools, so we can sit with other people in theirs without trying to fix them. That's true empathy. And this is something AI can't take away from us. At least now. At least in the early days, right? We don't know what's there. But we come back to present moment and we plan for what we can do. So empathy, teaching your kids empathy and how to sit and be with each other. That is massive. And we need to understand our own emotions, and that's where mindfulness comes into play. What are you feeling right now in the present moment? This is something you can be asking your child. You can have check-ins throughout the day. What you're feeling right now, whether it's good emotions or bad emotions, if you want to label it. And have those check-ins, and it gives connection because you'll give yours too. But you're allowing some space and some openness. You're creating a safe space to allow them to be open and to talk about their emotions. And then what we do as parents is not try and fix it and just be with it. So this is massive, and mindfulness is a really massive tool that it's so helpful to do this stuff with. So that's a bit on empathy. Listening to each other, active listening, yeah? If you can't actively do this with your child in the day, so they're at school and you're at work, make time of an evening and a weekend to really listen, because they will notice when you're not, and they'll notice when you are. Subconsciously or consciously, it'll stick. Oh, my dad was never here. I never saw him. He was always out at work. Or my mum was too busy. They'll remember these things. That's what they'll stick in their memory all through childhood. So how can we actively listen? These are the tools, aren't they? And it's listening without fixing. It's listening without being defensive. So if they say something that calls you out, it's not getting on your high horse, it's not getting defensive, it's allowing them to have that opinion. There's too much of this, opinions everywhere, opinions online, and everyone's jumping on everyone because they've got an opinion. Can't we just allow people to have an opinion and just agree to differ? Because the world would be a boring place if we all had the same values and thoughts and opinions on everything, right? So listen without fixing, listen without being defensive, and listen without jumping in. Now I raise my hand up to this one. I do this when I'm not being rude. I do it because I've got brain fog and I'm going to forget what I'm going to say, and they've just sparked something in me, and it'll go. Well, let it go. If it goes, it goes. If it's meant to come back, it will. Or quickly write it down or something. I don't know. But active listening is not jumping in. Active listening is letting them speak it all out, and you hearing. And you hearing not to return and speak. You're hearing and let that settle. We don't like pauses anymore. With my brain fog and whatnot, I do have a lot of pauses. And for some people, they don't like that. They'll scroll on by because I don't speak fast enough, or I've got too many pauses. And there's apps now, there's editing tools that'll take out every pause. But then you become AI, right? I'm human. I have ums and ahs. I pause. I think. I let things consolidate. I give you time. As a teacher, I give you time to consolidate what I'm telling you. And it's almost like that's gone now. We've got to rush the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. Well, imagine what your kids feel when that happens. My daughter struggles with some letters, and sometimes when you can tell she's got it in her head, but she can't always get it out. She's only 5. And you can see her getting frustrated. And sometimes when we're busy, we will be like, come on, spit it out, or we'll say things like that. And I know we're not supposed to, and I know that doesn't happen all the time. It's generally, we will sit and give her time. Because if we don't, she will stop trying. So active listening is a massive key in this as well. So ways in which you can implement all this stuff. I've mentioned all the points there, but let's recap. So we've got downtime to be creative, understand feelings and emotions for yourself and others. And to give you a bit of a head start on that, in the description and at the end, I'll put in a video that I did on this called Sit in Your Pain. And it doesn't sound nice, sit in your pain. I don't want to watch a video about that. But that is how you're going to learn these tools. That is going to be how you can sit in this difficult emotion yourself, so that you can sit in the difficult emotion of other people and have true empathy and true connection. And then lastly, active listening. So another thing you can go ahead and try, something I've got out for you, is the 5 bedtime questions. So this is 5 bedtime questions that we've put together that we use most nights. I won't say it's every night, but most nights we will ask these questions of the whole family, and it's a way to connect, it's a way to really listen to each other. So I'll put that in at the end and in the description as well. And what I want to say about this to close is, don't worry so much about the unknown. I know it's easier said than done. But when you find yourself catastrophizing and worrying about AI and things, just think, what can I do now in the present moment? Where's the humanism? Because that's another video I've got. Again, I'll link that. I've got a video about humanism. What was that called? It was called Overstimulated in the Digital Age, Trust Your Humanism. So where can I be human right now? Where can I be human? And what's the difference between AI and humanism? It's feelings. It's consciousness. So where in the present moment can you sit with what you're experiencing and allow it to be there without being in fear of it? And how can we teach our kids that? So this is what I'm all about on this channel. So if you're new to me, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and join us on this journey. I've also just got a Ko-Fi account. So I've got a Ko-Fi page now. I've got digital products on there. I've got freebies. I've got paid content on there. And you can even buy me a coffee if you will, if you so wish. So that is on there as well. So my little quick story, just to summarise this. I, as a kid, and even today at 45 years old, never learnt my times tables. And we were told when we were kids back in the, late 80s, early 90s, you're never going to have a calculator on you all the time. Well, look now. We've got, I don't know where mine is, got rid of it. We've got the phones in our pockets, in our bags all the time. We have access to things like a calculator 24/7. And that was only in a space of how long? What, 20 years, 10, 15? Not long. And we had that calculator in our pocket. And to this day, at 45 years old, I've got no shame around it. I don't know my times tables. I went to university. I was a physiotherapist. I did all right without knowing my times tables. But everybody thought that knowing your times tables is a be all and end all. That's what you must know in school. And I did all right without it. So let's take the pressure off the things we think kids need to know in school to what we now know and feel in our heart of hearts and our intuition that they really need to know. And that is creativity, empathy, and listening to each other and ourselves. I'll add in connection to that as well, because that's a big value of mine here on this channel. So I hope that's been of help for you. Check out the stuff in the description, and much love. Bye for now.